So, Francis Bacon, what was his thing? And how does that relate to what you do?
Well, it doesn't really, like, my style has really nothing to do with, Francis Bacon's style.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it does, okay, because you know what, Francis Bacon was criticized for using photos as his subject matter. He would take photos and use photography as his subject matter and not an actual model, not a reality, which is really groundbreaking, and people criticize him big time about that. And people criticize that. You go to Lime Academy, here's models.
Yeah.
Don't use, for using photos is not, the way to create art. It's not like the classical way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Who decided?
Who made that rule up?
Yeah.
I know.
Why should there be a rule on that? I mean, what's the difference between a photo and
because
real life,
people
or...
hold on to tradition, and I can understand that you don't want to lose the tradition of painting from still life, painting from models. You don't want to lose that tradition, but I think there's been even in our own city here.
Yeah.
I know so many artists who use photography. They use video.
Yeah.
I don't. I know classically trained artists that make really amazing art with a photo as a reference.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I
don't want to expose anybody if they can expose themselves, but
anyone can.
And a lot of people, there is as an artist, you don't want to necessarily expose your process, especially if you feel like you might be cheating a little bit.
Right.
Well, and then at the same time, even if you're not cheating, who wants
what
to
is
see
cheating? What is what's legit? What's
nobody
not?
wants to see how the sausage is made. They don't care. They don't care how the sausage is made, as long as the sausage comes out as tasty as it can be. You want to go to Slaughterhouse and actually see how the sausage is made? I don't. I mean, I would. I probably should, but
Yeah. In the end, it doesn't much matter.
Right.
If you like sausage.
If it tastes good, and it's sustenance.
This reminds me of a thing I came across, one of the debates from the sailing world, where some people were castigating others because defining what is traditional sail, and would sailors from back in the day, have used engines, have used radar, would they have used any of these modern conveniences, if they existed? There's this whole thing about sailors of this day and age, they're not the same as they used to be. They're soft, they're not, worth their salt, so to speak. But my contention, my answer to that is that, if they had engines and they had radar, they would have used them.
Right.
Anything that would hasten the process and increase the safety of navigation is a good thing. So anything that helps create art, anything that helps create something that's aesthetically pleasing and mentally stimulating, I think it's a lot of wasted energy. That's my own personal opinion, as far as defining what is traditional, what is not, what is this, what is that, and somehow drawing lines in between, saying one person's process is better than the other because of that. Yeah, I don't think that's. I think it's a waste of energy. In the end, do you like the sausage or not?
Right. And in the end, you work with people who are traditionally trained.
Yeah.
They show you all, many different ways, and you're just as hardworking of a person, So you get. It enables you to get to the means faster.
Yeah.
Or the ends faster.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's the choice. You know, it's just a matter of like method of implementation. It doesn't need to be anything moral or righteous attached to it necessarily.
And then you get yourself into a situation where, okay, now I do question myself as an artist, and now I want to push myself more.
Yeah.
I want to free my hand up, free my mind up, break away from the way I have been learning,
Yeah.
and bring it to another place.
And that could go both ways. You know, someone who's used photos or whatever as you know, the models for their art could go to doing it more like live figures or, you know, still life type setups. And, you know, those who have done the more traditional classical ways could actually experiment in the other direction and find all new realms.
Right. I mean,
They
if you
start
think of like
experimenting with photography and
the market for like the fine artists, and I do respect people who can do brilliant landscapes, brilliant portraits. I do respect that, but you know, you can criticize anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what are you trying to capture when you do a portrait of Morgan Point out in Noank, or not a landscape of that scene, and you are an amazing painter, and you can sell that thing for $12,000. What are you doing? What are you trying to possess there?
Yeah.
You're trying to possess
$12,000.
the sunset there and then sell it. It's not yours to sell.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're basically, in the end, you know, art could be viewed as a very fraudulent thing if you really want to get down to it. You know, like, why do we need to recreate any images we ever see? Why do we need to do that?
Yeah. Well, it's in the telling of the story.
Why do we not need to do that? Do we not need to do that?
That's a good question. Which leads into a question for you. Why do you do what you do?
Why do you not do what you don't do?
Verbal jujitsu.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, that's a valid comeback. But I mean, what is it? I guess what I'm trying to get at
a
is
heartbeat.
Like, what gratifies you? What do you get out of this?
I don't know. I definitely get some sort of satisfaction from like, you know, setting out like a plan or a drawing of an idea and then bringing it to a place where it's like, you know, I'm like, hey, you know, I'm really happy with the way those colors are, you know. I'm not sure why I do it.
I think that's the answer.